Hello guys and girls, it is I, Jared from the T-Files. Today I'm bringing you yet another restring video. This one is the electric version, so I don't know if you remember the first acoustic version. If you don't, why not? Go find it. It's on YouTube. It's actually everywhere. Yeah, so today we've got a beautiful, delicious PRS SE 245. So the issue is the strings are a little bit dull. So what we're doing today is we're restringing them with some EXL 110s from Diodario. So it's a good match. Diodario and PRS, they should be married by, was a priest. And well, kind of am, if you think about it. Anyway, so what you'll need, as I explained in my first video, is just a couple less items in acoustic. So first off, you need your side cutters, right? You'll need your set of strings, obviously. You'll need some beautiful, delicious lemon oil, so old cloth for the lemon oil, and a microfiber cloth, dry, not wet, to just clean it a bit. And then, of course, if you're into, you know, relieving your wrist, which if you saw in the first video, I don't like these things, but a string winder if you need it to alleviate some tension in the wrist. But today I'm not using that one. So first off, what you start with is to release the tension from the top of the headstock. So you can start with the thicker string or the thinner string, it doesn't matter. Some people will actually fight me on this and say that you shouldn't actually take all the strings off because it takes tension off the neck, but bring it. Okay, so what I do is I just make sure that I am going lefty-loosey, not righty-tighty. And then what's good practice to just keep plucking the string. And once you got it loose enough to wrap it around like that, you can just pull the string off. Being very careful not to get pricked by the end. And you put that one side, and you do the rest for the other 5. So just making sure that you are loosening it and not tightening it. So today I'm wearing our new merch that we got the other day. So this is the staff hoodie that I'm wearing, as you'll see in the video, if you can see it. Staff. Pun, if you got it. And at the back we just got our beautiful, delicious logo. So yeah, the first one for sale is going to be opening hopefully next week sometime. So look out on our website or our socials for when they arrive and what price they'll be and all that stuff. So yeah, been up with the times, yo. We've got some caps as well if you want. Should have actually bought one here to show you, but the next video. And yeah, you just follow this process 6 times, obviously, because there's 6 strings, unless you're a Keith Richards fan and you've only got 5 strings. But this ain't no Keith Richards guitar, so we're all good for that. So we're getting there little bit by little bit. Just make sure that the strings that you're taking off obviously don't get stuck in your fingers, and also don't get stuck on your clothes, because they can actually pull out the fabric in your clothes. So you want to just be very careful with that. Some people actually just take side cutters and cut the strings clean off, but it's just to take them off in one piece. The reason why is I'll tell you now with the bridge when we get all the strings loose. Okay, so now I've got all my strings loose, and those guys need to be pulled through the bridge. Now you see with the PRSs, and Les Pauls, should I say, Les Paul designs, LP designs, is this particular one. I don't know if you can see that. I could just pull the bridge clean off, right? Just like that. The bridge just comes clean off, right? So obviously the pole position sits right there. Now, those poles in the body can move. In this particular model, that's your action, your height of the string. So you don't want to touch those, especially if it's been set up like this one has been. Now what I want to do is I want to try and get the strings out from the actual tailpiece. Now, a lot of people do is they'll just push it through and pull, and it actually scratches the chrome work. So what I do is I just rest the bridge in a nice area there. I take the edges of the strings that I've just taken off from the machine head side, put them all together like that. And I take my side cutters, and one by one I just cut the edges off like that. And I put that one side. And I do the rest. So now I've got 6 straight edges on my strings. So the offcuts I just throw straight in the bin. Now I can safely take the strings out of the tailpiece. Starting with the thick one or thin one, it doesn't matter. You just push them through like that and pull. You do the same with the other 5. Push through and pull. Some will be a little tricky, but you just gotta keep going. Now, if your bridge has very loose saddles, it's good practice to try not to touch too much of them, because that'll also cause your intonation to go out. So you want to be careful with that as well. So it's good practice just to like hold it in your hand and not move it too much with your fingers. Try and work only the strings. So once you got all 6 strings out, a lot of people will just throw it straight in the bin like this. Not a great idea, mate. So, just take them in your hand and fold them up like so. For those who were paying attention, I showed you this in my first video. You just fold them inside and make a little loop-de-loop. Easier to throw away. Also, it doesn't get stuck in other things, and then if, say, for instance, you empty the bin and strings all over. So, now that I've got the bridge or tailpiece off, I just give it a good old love with some cloth, dry cloth. Making sure I'm not moving anything while doing this again, because otherwise your intonation will go out. Which, if you know how to set your intonation, it's not too much of a train smash, but the idea is not to actually have your entire Saturday afternoon ruined, because now you have to reset up your guitar. All you wanted to do was just quickly restring it, right? And if you had like a gig within 15 minutes, this would be a problem. So, yeah. Moral of the story, keep things like they were, bro. Alright, so now that we got that clean, we set that aside. And here comes the tricky part, because if you wanted to clean your guitar, okay, and you touch these things by accident, they're going to go and change your action. So what I do is I just put 2 fingers as hard as I can down on them, and I just clean around. That way, they can't move, because I am keeping them still. So once you're happy with the way they clean, you just... Now do the same with the headstock as well, because obviously the headstock gets dirty too, so we can't just leave that part of the guitar. It's important to do everywhere that you can, because we want our guitar to feel pretty. Kind of like doing a spa treatment for your guitar, you know. You're putting that avocado mask on its face. You're trimming its nails. Pedicure? Manicure? Whatever you want to call it. And your guitar will love you for it, because, if it's clean, it works better. And I've said it once before and I'll say it again. Every time before you play a guitar and after you play guitar, it's good practice to take a cloth, again, dry cloth, and just in circular motions, just wipe down the strings all the way down to the bridge, from the headstock to the bridge. What that basically does is it allows the actual strings not to stay moist and full of our sweat. I know it sounds gross, but especially if you're close to like the ocean and stuff, then humidity will set in and all that stuff. Okay, so once we've got our guitar clean, you just take a bit of lemon oil in a cloth, and you just want to kind of soak it into the fretboard. Now, obviously, if your guitar has a maple fretboard, you should not be using lemon oil. Why? Well, because mineral oil, lemon oil in this case, has got a yellow tinge. It tends to actually stain. And let's be honest, maple is not really necessary to kind of lubricate, if you will. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. If you do have a maple fingerboard that is not lacquered, in other words, it's not been sprayed with clear lacquer, then what you maybe want to just do is use a bit of like furniture polish. Don't use any form of oil, because what it's going to do is it's going to sit on top of that maple, and it is going to cause some slipperage. Unless you want to do some serious bending, cool, but if you don't want to have very slippery strings, then I wouldn't suggest putting lemon oil on maple. It's just not a good idea, guys. So once you've got that oil soaked up into your delicious fretboard, what you'll see is a nice dark tinge coming out of your rosewood or your walnut or your wengi, whatever it is, just not maple. Once I've got the lemon oil in, you can see how nice and moisturized it is. Okay, so now if you by any chance got fingerprints on your guitar after doing the lemon oil, one would say I should have cleaned the guitar after doing the lemon oil. I did it this way, okay? Alright, so now we can proceed to open up the box of strings. So this is Diodario strings, 10 to 46. It's what's pretty much standard on a PRS, specifically one like this. So tear the box open. And obviously Diodario use the corrosion packet, anti-corrosion packet. And yeah, once you've pulled it open, you'll see the legendary color balls. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Color balls! Which, if you've done enough restringing, you should know the color scheme by now. So, silver, purple, green, black, red, and gold. Do you like my song? Just made it up. Okay, so what Diodario do is they actually wrap two strings together. So they'll do like the E and the B together. So the silver and purple. And then what you want to do is you want to take the blank side of the string, not the ball side of the string, and then with your other hand you just hold the bridge in play like that, and you're going to do it in such a way that the string wraps around the bridge. So in this case, this bridge has the string go through from where the screws are, so from the pickup side, goes through and wraps around. So I'm going to be doing it through that way, not that way. So you find the hole, you thread the string through, and once you got it through the other side, you just pull, just like that. And now these ones have got a little square. I don't know if you can see in the video. Got a little square there. So once the string is in play, it stays, it doesn't move. So the ball has to actually stick in that little square. Now in Les Paul's models and stuff like that with a tailpiece, they'll just have a circle. So you don't have to like line it up like this. You just got to step it in, and obviously that'll have a tailpiece and a bridge system, where this is a tailpiece and bridge incorporated into one. That's why I've got to do the strings reverse, in case you were wondering. So once you got the B in, then you move on to the D and the G, or the G and the D, which way you want to look at it. And once you've got the strings unraveled without hitting yourself in the eyeballs, you proceed to put them through the bridge. Making sure you don't drop the bridge on the floor, guys. I've seen you guys do this. I've seen it. Be cautious, be careful, and be clever about it. And the last two, A and the E. In case you're wondering what happened to Jacobus, Johannes, whatever his name is, he unfortunately had other gigs to follow through with on this day, so Unfortunately, I had to step in, so if it's a bit boring, I do apologize. Okay, so there you have all your balls locked in place, colorly, codedly, nice, beautifully, deliciousness. Okay, so now, here comes the tricky part, because what you got to do, right, is you got to put the bridge back on without moving the posts. Cleverly do it in such a way that they don't move. Now, because the strings are going in reverse here, what I like to do is I just start with the top string, right? So I grab it like this, without stabbing me in the eye, and letting go of the bridge, I take the string and I tug it a bit, making sure that the string goes in its groove. Then with this side of the string, I take the end part, and on the actual machine head shaft, you'll see a hole. So you find that hole and you put it through. Now what I'm doing is I'm going from the outside in, and I will explain that now why. So what you want to do is you want to just pull it through a little bit, make sure the string goes from the inside out. And that's why I went from the outside in, so that there's at least a little bit of the string wrapping around the shaft from the beginning. Now if I don't have it like that and I pull the string up, which you'll see me do now, then the string will actually slip out. So it's good practice to just make sure you go from the outside in. If it's not lining up like that, you can just move the machine head to make sure the string goes from the outside in. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to pull that piece up, right, just to get it out of the way, and then you want to try and see if you've got a fist bump space. Now that fist bump space will ensure that you've got 2 to 3 windings. And if you don't have enough of a fist bump, you push it through a bit more, or if you've gone too far, pull out the string a little bit. Now what I've done there, I don't know if you saw me do that, I pull the string up while holding the long part of the string, right? So the excess, this piece, I pull up and while holding the string in place. Now, here comes the fun part. So making sure that you're going righty-tighty, so clockwise, anti-clockwise, if you're looking at the clock from that side. You just make sure that the string goes around the existing thread, winding. Now this is the part where people say, why didn't you use a string winder? Because I don't like them, okay? They can slip and damage the guitar, and I don't want to do that. So I use my hand. That way I'm in control. Because also strings don't like being tuned up too quickly, especially in the cold, in case you didn't know, because it's metal. Okay, so what you'll see there now is I've got about 2 windings, starting on my 3rd one almost, and the string is already up to tension. Now what you don't want to do is get your finger underneath there, and it's at this time it's good practice to make sure that your saddle is underneath the string, and your string isn't going over and lopsy-daisy onto something else. Now what I also like to do is, once I've got my top E string tightened up, I take my thin E string and I do the same. Why, you ask? Because sometimes these bridges with the tension can actually pull out. So why I'm doing this is so that I can have tension at both positions of the bridge so that they don't move the bridge. Right, so same concept here. I go from the outside through the shaft and in. And then I want to make sure that the string is going from the outside in. So this is going to be a mirrored image of what I've just done. So there, I pulled up the piece. I take the string. Now here you just need a little bit more of a fist bump. So I'd say like a fist bump and a half. And then you pull that string as tight as you can and pull the excess up. This way you have the option to make sure that the string goes underneath itself and it's going to have enough bite, because the unwound strings can slip. Now I've seen people only use 1 winding or half a winding, and they say, no, it's easy. Now unless you have locking machine heads, that's not good for string stability or in tuning stability. Stability of tuning. And the reason for that is because the string itself is slippery, right? It's not like sandpaper. It's not going to grip onto anything. So what happens is if you do more than 1 or 2 or 3 windings, then the string actually starts catching on itself. It causes a nice little, how would you say, bite on the actual shaft. So once I've got it all nice and taut, I can release it with my right hand and just making sure that I've got the string on the saddle and not over the bridge or touching something it shouldn't or kinked anywhere. Because yeah, the last thing you want to do is now go rush out to your local Thundercloud music store and buy a loose string or another set of strings if you bought extremely expensive strings. And there we go. So I've checked my saddle. I've made sure that the string goes underneath, not on top, because what will happen as well is if your string is going above the previous winding, it'll actually cause the shaft to be under too much tension, and it can actually snap clean off inside the machine head. So, and I've seen it before, trust me. So too much winding, bad. Too little winding, bad. So you want to go for at least in this order, which is sometimes impossible, I know. 2 to 3 windings on your E, 2 to 3 windings on your A, 3 to 4 windings on your D, 3 to 4 windings on your G, 4 or 5 windings on your B and your E. So it's 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. If you go 1 extra winding over that, it's fine. 2 extra windings, you might cause a problem. And 2 little windings, well, then the string's not going to stay in place. So what I tend to do once I've got all my strings tightened up like this, I'm only just showing you on the 2 now, we'll finish up the rest now. I take my side cutters and as close to this shaft as possible without cutting the other part of the string, you take it and you just cut off the excess like that. So now why I've done it towards the middle of the shaft and not the top is I can run my finger over here and not get cut by the string. Because, yeah. Also, you're putting it in your bag or your case and the excess of that string is sticking out. It's going to actually damage your bag or your case or even your fingers, man. Or your eyeballs or whatever you're doing. I don't know. You can be into that kind of weird stuff. And then you do the same with the other one. So this one, I just go slightly below the shaft and cut it off. Making sure, if you need a magnifying glass to do this, nobody's going to, judge you. Making sure you don't actually cut the excess of the string and the winding of the string. So I'm going to show you one more time with the A string, and then we'll finish up here, and then we'll show you how to tune. I'm going to do the A string now. So again, you just pull, make sure it is nice and tight there, and then remember to go from the outside in when you're threading it. So you pull the string in from the outside in, and your fist bump, a little bit more, so, and then with your right hand you just pull up the tension, making sure it's in the neck nut, and then you just turn. Now when you get to the second winding, which you'll see that string is wanting to go and create a second winding now, it's good practice to keep enough tautness in your right hand so that it will magically go underneath. Now, if you want it to always go underneath, you can use your index finger and push down onto the headstock, keeping the other part of the loose string with your middle finger and your ring finger. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but my ring finger and my middle finger are holding the string up taut, which also keeps it on the bridge and also keeps it from unraveling. So I just keep turning. Now I know it's going under the previous winding and not over. Then I can carry on with my winding with the machine head. And it starts its third wind. Simple, right? Now I'll do it again, just one more time on the D, and then we'll just restring the rest of it quickly for you guys, and then show you how to tune it up. So remember, take the loose part of the string, push it through from the outside in, making sure that the excess goes up, not under the loose string, but on top. And then you keep it straight, pulling up the excess, and then just making sure it is on the saddle by the bridge. You can now turn it around. The string is actually pulling up because the shaft itself is actually beveled like that. So what the string is doing is it's pulling itself up into its previous winding, which is actually causing the string to stay in tune. A lot of guys actually do the in, up, around, down situation. There's many ways to skin a cat, or in this case, restring a guitar. But this way, I have been doing for 20 odd years. And I've had no issues with this winding system, and I've had no tuning instabilities. So if you want to fight me on the way I restring the guitars, you're most welcome to, but it's been doing perfectly fine for 20 years. So yeah, you say what you want to. This is my method that I'm teaching people because it's easy, quick and effective, and it doesn't stab people in the fingers. Again, why is it taking so long? You should have just used your string winder. Yeah, guys, yeah. Okay, so now that I've got the other 4 strings kind of wrapped around their shafts here, I just cut the excess off, remembering to not cut the original windings. So just a little bit underneath the shaft's head, towards the middle, where the string comes through the hole, and the top of the shaft. Again, magnifying glass is not discrimination. If you want to use a magnifying glass, be my guest. Once you've got them all cut off, now is a good time to throw away your excess. So now that we know that there's no sharp objects there, you get your tuner, right? So you can use your plug-in tuner for electrics, or your clip-on tuner, whatever's easiest for you. I just use the clip-on tuner. And then you start with either the thinny or the thicky, and you just kind of tune it up. Remembering again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And what I do is I tune it up first, right, to pitch, plus, minus. Okay, so I've kind of got it up to pitch now. So what I tend to do is with my right hand, I just kind of grab the string with 3 fingers. So my index finger, my middle finger, my ring finger. And with my thumb, I just slowly push down on the string, keeping my other 3 fingers pushed up. So what I'm doing is it's what they call tugging. So you're tugging the string a little bit, and then you move up in increments of maybe 5 centimeters or so, 5 to 10 centimeters. So now what that's done is it's made my string loose. And the reason for that is because it's taking away excess of the string that hasn't pulled tight yet around the shaft and your bridge. So you do it the same thing with the other 5 strings. Gently tugging, not doing it to a point where, you know, you're going to like break the string. So this is where it becomes complicated, because how much tension are you supposed to use? Now, after 20 years of doing it, I kind of know, like I can sense that, okay, this is too much or this is too little. But yeah, it's just good practice to not go, use like the same tension as you would as to like open a chutney bottle, or tomato sauce bottle, or ketchup bottle, whatever you're into. And that will then kind of be enough, I guess. So that was in E tuning. It is now in D tuning. That was actually in C. So that string had a lot of excess to get rid of. So now that's up to tension. You shouldn't have any slippages, or the string shouldn't go out of tune, if you will. Unless you've got other factors involved, like your bridge is moving the whole time, or say for instance you got a whammy bridge, that could also cause the strings to keep pulling and the springs on the back of the guitar to actually stop working. So always make sure that your setup is done and you're sticking to the right gauge. Because if you're going from a 9 gauge to an 11 gauge string, things are going to, especially on a tremolo bridge, things are going to go sideways fast. So what you want to do is just kind of like make sure you're using the same gauge that you have been using in the past and that your guitar is actually set up. Looking at the guitar setup, we can get into in another video, but normally if the strings are very high off the fretboard or very low on the fretboard and you're getting buzzing or it's difficult to play, that's generally the rule of thumb, is it needs a setup. Or in this case, the bridge. If your bridge looks wrong, then something is not right. And there you have it. And it's good practice. If you want to at this stage, if you haven't had issues with your intonation before, just double check. So if your string shows that it's slightly out, then you can adjust it at this pace. But as I said, I didn't touch anything there. Well, I did touch it, but I didn't move anything. So still showing green for every single string, and we're good. So that's basically it in a nutshell, as long as you follow the concept of making sure that you don't move anything on your guitar. So keeping the bridge untouched, if you will. So only touch what you need to. And making sure that you don't kink the string, don't bend the string twice, otherwise, because it's high tensile steel, it will snap. Making sure that you got enough winding on your shafts, and making sure that you're winding the right way around as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And obviously good old quality maintenance, man. Your guitar will love you for it. This guitar will play better, sound better, and work better for you. So remember that. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate everything you guys do. Yeah, and look out for our merch coming soon to a Thundercloud music store near you. Keep it real, guys, and I'll see you guys soon.